Make sure y'all tapping into these lives. Tapping in to these reactions on this live. Let's get it.
This is an OG track. I'm keeping it.
If you ain't never been caught lacking, then you know, or maybe you just went all the way in the streets. Everybody got a story to tell. Make sure you got a reality check behind it though. That's facts. On this episode of Grape Street TV, we gonna talk how I got caught lacking in F13 hood at the car wash. Yeah, this happened years ago. You know, it couldn't be now. I'm a little too old to be caught lacking. So, you know, if you ain't hit that like or that subscribe button yet, then that's what you need to be doing. But if not, y'all already know the deal with me, man. I'm gonna bust y'all across y'all head with some knowledge every time, man, straight up. And make sure y'all hit that bell for all notifications. So when I drop these story times and these reactions right here, they pop up on your timeline like the chicken pox. Boop, 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 boop. Y'all already know the deal with me, man. Listen, tap in. So we gonna start this one off by saying, you know, don't trust the females in the gang culture. There's a lot of tricky business going on, you know, and sometimes they only make the choices that's safe for them. We gonna start this one off on this day, you know, linked up with a friend that I grew up with, and he happened to not gangbang, and he happened to come up on some females that we could kick it with. So, you know, I got fresh, started my day off, went and got us some good buds, and we made our way. So yeah, we on our way, you know, BSing around, shooting jokes, and you know, I'm asking him about the females and how they look. I was also making sure he wasn't trying to have me take one for the team, cause you know how the homies do it. They be trying to have you take one for the team so they can smash somebody they been trying to smash, and that's facts. We all grew up, and we was young, dumb, and not giving a F, and that's big facts. So we finally made it to our destination, and you know, I was curious to see. And as both of the females walked out, I was surprised to see that both of them was bad, you know. Two Hispanic females. Nice, thick, short, beautiful. So as they was ready to get in the car, I made my way to the back seat. So, you know, I want to be in the back seat with the one I'm going to be with, so I could also watch my surroundings. So at this point, it was just reaching nighttime, so we decided to go to the liquor store and grab us a bottle of Hennessy so we can make our way. And you know, we was going to the typical place that young people like to go and take females. We was going to the drive-in, so we wanted to stop at the store, get our drink, get snacks, and you know, food if we want to get food out. So at this point, he let the female that was in the passenger seat jump in the driver's seat, and they decided they wanted chili cheese fries and they wanted to go to this specific place. And when we start getting close, I started noticing the area, so I asked, where we going? She said, we're going to the car wash on Florence. And I know right there, it's a train stop, so I kind of know my area right there. I know my surroundings, so I'm saying, you know, I can't go over there. So at this point, she's like laughing it off, and she's swerving to the side. And as I look, we pulling into the inside of the car wash, which has the good chili cheese fries, you know. I've been there a few times, but that's danger zone for me. And I definitely don't want to be in that area, you know, with some females that I don't even know. So she says, my family's from over here. We're good. And she just hops out the car. I immediately get mad. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what am I doing? I got on a purple Laker hat, a purple Laker Kobe jersey, and some purple and white Nikes. And you know, it's more than like a handful of them. standing around, talking, BSing, shooting the shit. So my mind immediately goes into survival mode, I'm from Watts. That's why we say Watts up. WATTS, UP. We are taught to survive under pressure. And that's facts. So, I grip the little pistol I have and I put it under my leg. As I'm doing that, I'm seeing, like two of the dudes pass by the car and they looking in the car and they looking real hard. So I hear one of the dudes, mention Gayuva. So, you know what time it is. I already knew they knew what time it is because they was peeping me. So they was taking a long time. And my boy ended up getting out and going seeing what was going on. As I looked to the doorway, so I was watching for the homie. And I see them getting backed out. And they was swinging at him. It was around about 3 of them, maybe 4. So I jumped out the car, just normal, feel a little bit more relief. Like this ain't nothing but a squabble. I run over there, we start squabbling up. I found one, bam, from the side. He fall, hit the ground. The other one turned towards me. We start fighting. I'm catching them with some good ones. They must have been drunk because he didn't know what duck was because he never ducked, blocked, or anything. He just swung, knocked him to the ground immediately. And now we fighting the other one. Another 2 run up. One hits me from the side. I stumble, hit the car. As I make it to my feet, I could see one of the girls, the one that was in the back with me, being shoved back by a few dudes. And she was screaming like, y'all messed up. We just trying to have a good time. But she not even understanding, I'm in the wrong territory. I'm out of bounds. So at this time, I continue to fight until I notice one guy pulls out a knife. So I go into survival mode. I whip out my gun. And as I whip out my gun, the guy backs up. He yell, he got a gun. He got a guete. He started running off. And a lot of them start jogging off. So, I'm telling my boy to come on. And we get to jogging back to the car. So we jump in the car. And the girls jump in the car. We pull off. And, I look out the window. I see a few running our way. But, yeah, we end up getting away scot-free. I was for sure that, I was going to end up in a shootout that night. But I guess that was God. It wasn't meant that night. And I know we got the females in the car with us. We was young, dumb, and not giving a F. When you young and you out there and you chasing these females, all you worried about is the cuckoo. Even though the females didn't have any bad intentions, but you still can't trust them because they only gonna do what's best for them and what's safe for them. So the reality check out of this is watch your surroundings at all times, and you can't trust these females, to put you in a safe environment. Even though you tell them you can't be there, they might think it's more safe for them. So it's better just to, get yourself out of those type of situations because it could have easily got ugly and lives could have been taken that night. The gang culture is trash. Like, it's nothing in there. Like, I always, speak and stand on the fact that the gang culture is over. It ain't worth it losing your life over. It ain't worth it sitting in a 6x9 cell for the rest of your life. Make sure you make the, right choices for yourself so you can make it on to your family, your kids, your loved ones, whoever you may have. And that's facts. With that being said, this story time has officially came to an end. Make sure y'all stay safe, stay out the way, because I'm from Watts. Where we say Watts up. WATTS, UP. We are taught to survive under pressure, and that's facts.
This is the OG call.
Tap in.
I'm keeping it.
Yo, some boy.
The OG card. I'm keeping it.
On this episode of Grape Street TV, we gonna jump into the fact that after the Watts Peace Treaty ended, the war started back up. There was a lot of lives lost in that war, and that's facts. That was also the turning point for my generation, you know. We started catching time and getting our hands into stuff that we shouldn't been getting into, you know, that's growing up in the culture. Don't nobody bring you stories like this because, you know, they wasn't in the field, or they wasn't off the porch, or they just wasn't around. So if you ain't hit that like and that subscribe button yet, then that's what you need to be doing. But if not, y'all already know the deal with me, man. I'ma bust y'all across y'all head with some knowledge every time, man, straight up. And make sure y'all hit that bell for all notifications. So when I drop these reactions right here, they pop up on your timeline like the chicken pox. Boop, 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 boop. Y'all already know the deal with me, man. Listen, tap in. So we gonna start this one off without particular dates, you know, due to the fact that it's a lot of vloggers that be on here, you know, and they don't want to pay for the game, or they don't want to sit down with a real one to get their game, so they search the internet and try to make interviews and reviews and reactions off of, you know, wars that they don't even know about, that they getting pieces of it from, you know, the internet. So this right here is coming from self-experience, and that's facts. It all started over, you know, the police stopping a black male and beating him, and it caught wind to the news, and it was pushed all around the city. So, you know, people united, came together and did what they didn't want us to do. You know, we came together as one. And yeah, for the people that don't know, I'm talking about Rodney King. I'm talking about the Rodney King beating. It brought peace to the Watts community. So yeah, when that peace treaty kicked off, you know, we started hanging out in each other's hoods, hanging with each other and messing with each other homegirls. Some of us had kids by, you know, different women that was in different hoods. So, you know, we got ties still to the communities as of this day, as of people got kids growing up, you know, that went through all the stuff. So as my generation was growing up and being caught up in the peace treaty, you know, we was cool with people from the other side. So we knew a lot of them, they knew us, they knew where we hang at, and we knew where they hang at. So, you know, that was very dangerous to the young mind, which we didn't, you know, realize what was going on and what was gonna happen. Everything was going good and smooth, and to make a long story short, the police didn't like what we had going on because they didn't have nobody to arrest no more. Everybody was sticking together, you know, to stand on our foundation, just to get treated right and not to be victimized by the police. So I guess they was fed up with everybody getting along so much, they was like, you know, starting a little stuff. They'll be the ones come through, send some shots at a certain hood, fake like it was another hood, coming in different hoods, doing shootings and stuff, turning us back against each other. And you know, Watts is not a super big city, so the peace treaty, you know, surrounded the 4 projects: the Jordan Down projects, the Imperial Courts, the Nickerson Garden projects, and the Hacienda Village projects. And all it took for one person to get shot, and you know, one of these projects or one of these hoods that, you know, that was involved in the peace treaty, and it triggered a war. At this time, it was in the 90s, so you know the wars was real ugly. it's like somebody will get knocked down in one hood, and then they'll double back and knock somebody else down, and vice versa. It was going back and forth. We lost a lot of, loved ones to this. A lot of innocent people also got hit. Some people would come out, to try to visit their family and get hit during this gang war that we had going on in Watts. And due to the peace treaty, hanging out in different hoods, and getting to know everybody, like the main heads, and the big timers became targets because everybody knew who the ones was and who was the marks, and their experience being in everybody's hood. A lot of my childhood friends and people I went to school with from all sides of the cultures, a lot of them dead or they in jail doing life over the same war that got started when we didn't even know nothing about what was really going on. And that's facts. We wasn't old enough to realize that they was playing a dirty, tricky game on us. And the older cats, they weren't really teaching us because they was too busy, caught up in the war. And my generation was at the same time busy following suit. Yeah, so that's when a lot of bad blood, hit the city. And that's where a lot of grudges come from. Back in the days like that, you had females that was also, caught up in the war, out here in the gang culture, and giving the drop on people, setting people up, doing all type of stuff. So a lot of people lost their lives, and a lot of people lost their lives to the system as well. And like I said, I know a lot of people, they got caught up in the war, sitting up with life, double life, triple life, in a wheelchair, people on the run. Like, it messed the culture up. Some people got on drugs because they lost certain people that they couldn't deal with living without, and that's facts. And around that time, that's when the gang culture went completely blind to, what these people was doing to us and setting up all these laws, come up with the 3-strike law, start striking them out. And part of the gang culture's communities, they was also hit with the gang injunction, which you couldn't hang out with your own family members. You couldn't hang out with nobody that seemed like that was associated with a gang. So even if you wasn't from a gang, that was taking you down and labeling you a gangbanger. See, the stuff I be kicking to y'all be straight knowledge, self-experience, And before this reaction in, we want to say rest in peace to all those that, fell victims to the gang culture, and free all the ones that caught all that time, especially the innocent ones. And I'm going to tell you, gang culture is trash, it's nothing. And if you want a part 2 of this, make sure y'all hit that like and that subscribe button, and make sure y'all run this video up and jump in the comments and let me know y'all want a part 2. And oh yeah, I just busted off y'all head with some knowledge. So make sure y'all hit that like and that subscribe button, man. Don't be no mark.
This is an OG call. I'm keeping it. OG. Fuck.
On this episode of Grape Street TV, we gonna hop into part 2 of growing up in a culture with a Mexican moms that was involved in the gang culture. Straight up. If you ain't hit that like or that subscribe button yet, then that's what you need to be doing. But if not, y'all already know the deal with me, man. I'ma bust y'all across y'all head with some knowledge every time, man, straight up. And make sure y'all hit that bell for all notifications. So when I drop these reactions right here, they pop up on your timeline like the chicken pox. Boop, 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 boop. Y'all already know the deal with me, man. Listen, tap in. Make sure y'all jump in them comments and hit that like. That's gonna determine on, if we gonna jump into part 3 of this after we done with part 2. So we gonna pick back up, when I was like 8 years old. I was outside, playing. And I seen a man, walk into a vacant house with a bag. And, within minutes, you hear gunshots. You see a few people run. So, we waited for a minute. But, back in the days, in the 80s, it was like, that was normal. So, people rarely had caught the cops. So, as me and a friend, made it to the vacant house front door. We was both debating on, who was gonna go to the back and see what was going on. So we both mustered up the strength and the courage to walk to the back. And as we start walking, you can see a man's legs hanging out. You can see his shoes. So you know how the vacant house don't really have no curtains. So the sun was shining right through the window. As soon as I turned to walk in the room, I looked down. The man had a hole right between his eyes. And he was still bleeding out his face. As we quickly was making our way to the exit, you can hear like 2 women outside talking. So when we exit the, vacant house, they was looking, and one of the women was pointing in the direction where we was at, and they quickly start to walk towards us, so we quickly start to walk off. So I wanna say like 4 hours later, it was like, dark outside, and we end up stumbling upon the same location. As we was looking, you see a police car, and we seen the same lady that was with the other lady that was pointing at us when we was exiting the vacant house. She was identifying the guy that was in the backseat of the police car as the police flashed the light on the suspect. That particular day, it taught me a lot, like how my pops used to tell me and my mama used to tell me. Never snitch, No less than a week later, the lady house was set on fire. So yeah, that was me, 8 years old, experiencing my first dead body, and also experiencing the consequences and the repercussions that come with running your mouth, snitching on somebody. I wanna say about like 2 weeks later, trauma hit my life again, My mom said went out to a party and, they got into it with, I guess, a set of enemies. And it was a lot of fighting that went on, a lot of stabbing. People got ran over by cars. And, somebody was set on fire. So, back in the days, it was like basically a lot of fighting, more fighting than, shooting. So my mom's ended up going to jail, facing 18 years. And, she ended up getting a lawyer and busting her time down. I think she did like a little bit over a year. But within that time, I was sent to live with my aunt as my dad was still in the streets. So within this time with my mom being locked up and being in jail, I found myself venturing off to the places where she used to always try to keep me from, found myself, running wild in the projects and adapting to, a lot of the ways that I was already adapted to. Around that time, it was a lot of basketball playing going around, like basketball tournaments. That's what a lot of older cats was doing, that was like still in the youth type of age range. So, I ended up taking a like to like the older cat, go by the name of Gio. And, he took a liking to me due to my mind frame. And during this time frame, I took a liking to the hustle. I fell in love with the fast life, watching the older guys get money and buy fresh tennis shoes, on their own. So I wanted to be involved. So I started standing and hanging out, around cats like Panyan, Big BK, E-Rock, the older homie Dooney. They was like, at that time, a lot of people were selling rock. So I found myself, bouncing the ball, holding a gun, with a pocket full of drugs. So when the police used to roll up, I used to walk off, bouncing my ball. So by this time I was 9 years old, and I was used to getting everything I wanted from my mama, due to my mama, being in the gang culture, selling drugs, always having money, going to work, my pops in the streets, making money in the streets. But, I was placed in the house with my aunt, and she had more kids, so I would use, the money I would make in the streets to go buy shoes and clothes and all the stuff my mama used to buy me. So I kind of grew up fast, turned into a grown man without his mother and father running the streets. So I was back and forth, between the cultures of my family, being around the south sides and being around the east sides, and I would go around, the Mexican side of my family, and I would be introduced to the culture as far as, people getting courted on. A lot of the activity that was going on, with the south side was like towards like the 107th Street. We had the Saucitos Auto Shop, that was owned by my family. A lot of people went there to hang out, play basketball, it was black and brown together. And due to me hanging on that side, where my family at, I started learning a lot, like how they had Colonial Watts, Watts Colonial Wigan, Watts Colonial Primera, and a lot of dudes was from Colonial Watts or Watts Colonial Primera, before Grape Street, because they wanted to start a clique, and it was gonna be based on Grape Street, and they really didn't want it. So that's when kind of like the split went up. Some turned Grape Street, WVG, and some stood Colonial Watts, but it was quarter gang. That was the main function at the time. So around that time, between the blacks and the brown, like as everything was changing, I was really growing up in the culture and watching everything unfold. Like I told y'all in part 1, all this is coming from self-experience. It's not coming from hearing something from somebody else. It's called witnessing it with your own eyes. Make sure y'all run the views up on this, this reaction right here. Hit that share button, hop in the comments, so we can push for part 3, We gonna talk about more of the quarter gang and the green jackets and the Jordan Downs. When it was Jordan Down Crips, but it was green jackets before it. In part 3, we gonna also talk about, how my moms got out of jail and life had changed and my life was headed in a different direction, And we gonna also talk about my first time in juvenile hall at 10 years old. These are all original stories, Like I said in part 1, I do not go to other people's videos, to look up history on Watts or Grape Street or any kind of, part of the gang culture. Everything I speak on is all facts, self-experience. And I also want to say, rest in peace Panyan, rest in peace Gio, rest in peace Big BK, and rest in peace Big Spurdog. And we can't forget Dirty C, original Baby Loco off the back streets. Had some cold hands on him. He used to be whooping on niggas. Straight up, we also gonna get into that on part 3. With all that being said, part 2 is officially coming to an end. And if you ain't hit that like and that subscribe button yet, that's what you need to be doing. But if not, y'all already know the deal with me, man. I'ma bust y'all across y'all head with some knowledge every time, man, straight up. And make sure y'all hit that bell for all notifications. So when I drop these reactions right here, they pop up on your timeline like the chicken pox. Boop, 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 boop. Y'all already know the deal with me, man. Listen, tap in.